Okay, so I am going to share my desktop with you guys. Is everybody good with the content that was shared last week?
I think so.
Okay. Oh, why can't I get my screen to come up? There we go. Lose that. Okay, so this is session 4. We only have one more class meeting that has content to cover. And then session 6 is just like a wrapping everything up, if you have any questions kind of thing. So you guys are so close to being finished with this. I hope it has been beneficial for you. I'm going to extend the assignment for an additional week. So I'll do that this afternoon for session 3. So those global collaboration assignments, those will have an additional week to turn those in. Liz, we'll get together and meet at a time that's convenient for you to adjust yours.
Thank you.
So on session 4 here, this week's session is about providing opportunities for differentiation using digital tools. The first thing I would like for you to do, as you have time, you don't have to do it right now, but there is a poll on the Haiku page just asking how you have normally received professional development in the past 3 years. And that is just information for me to kind of garner, was participating in this online class something that you normally do, or was it stepping out of your comfort zone kind of thing. I have included a number of videos in this session that have teachers speaking in them about how they incorporate differentiation using digital tools within their classroom. So as you have time, I think if you'll watch those videos, it will help clarify a lot of things for you. So when you think about differentiating instruction, what does that look like for you guys individually with your classrooms?
Well, for me, as a new teacher, it's constant.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of tech tools, not as much using that. Of course, like YouTube clips today and different things that I adjust for the needs of the classroom. But are you talking about the differentiation that you may give the student to respond to something, or
All of the above. You can differentiate with instruction, and then you can also differentiate in the way that students provide you with a product of learning. So, when I did this class back in the spring, I was confused myself whenever I introduced this session about what I was looking for. Ultimately, the assignment that we're going to do is an assignment that allows for differentiation on the product of learning that students will turn into you. But there are digital tools that can be used to help differentiate instruction, which is like you mentioned, Kathy, with using videos for driving a point home or just introducing a topic for discussion. One tool that comes to my mind whenever I think about differentiating instruction is using Khan Academy.
oh yes,
that is a fantastic resource if you need to bolster your classroom instruction, because those videos are just very down to earth, layman's terms, the way he explains math problems and things. I have had to watch some of the videos before for high school math questions, because I don't remember doing that math. It's been a really long time, and obviously I've not used it since then. So but they do a great job of explaining things there.
And I also refer parents to that so that they can, if the kids are at home and having trouble, then they can also look up concepts and things to try and sort through.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
What is Khan Academy?
Khan Academy, it is, and I think I should have it listed as a resource somewhere in one of these Padlets, but Khan Academy is an online, it's like a repository of lessons on just all subject and content areas. So,
And it's KHAN.
yes, KHAN, Khan Academy.
Say, for instance, if you're looking for something like, okay, how to fractions and or just anything, multiplication, and then even into college level stuff too. I mean, you got in college, you refer back to physics class and different things like that.
Right.
So
I'm gonna.
it goes to all levels.
It does. I mean, it is just a fantastic resource. I'm gonna try to pull it up here so you guys can see it. So, say I needed, oh goodness, say I needed to know something about denominators. Oops, I'm on the wrong keyboard. So it pulls up a bunch of different videos, and you just click on what you're wanting to learn about, and then he'll take you through an explanation of how to do that problem. And it's just a video here, and then, oops. I'm going to stop that, but I mean, he just talks to you like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, those videos are very helpful and very useful with students. So as you have spare time, check out Khan Academy. Now, so Kathy has shared with us, in EC, yes, you are differentiating daily. How does that look in some of your other classes, some of you guys out there? Who do I have with me? I have Kathy, and I have Brian and Liz. Kara, are you out there? So how you do, you teach kindergarten, correct? Do you find that you differentiate much in kindergarten, or? Yes. So how have you tried differentiating using digital tools besides, or do you use digital tools, I guess, maybe is the better way to put it. Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're preparing to keep our own.
Oh. Yeah.
But I do differentiate more of the product. So
Oh.
learning, so like, if they're doing a worksheet on writing their numbers, some may just be writing their numbers for 5, and others may be writing their numbers for 20. So they kind of hang right now.
Oh, okay. So, some things as we go through this session, if I can get myself together here, I'm having a hard time figuring out where my mouse is and where it needs to be.
I'm glad I couldn't find the class.
Yeah. I tell you, I don't know if it's because we missed the last class or what, but I'm all over the place today. As always, I provide a ton of resources. Do not let it overwhelm you or overload. These are just to offer a variety of tools that are out there. Kathy, I responded to your discussion post. Yeah. Did you get that response?
Not that I'm aware. I thought I checked yesterday to see, and I thought, okay, why is this?
I mean, I typed out a book for you, and it was great, and I was happy with it, and obviously I didn't hit the submit button because I went back to look at it today. My reply is not there.
I thought I read it yesterday.
Oh, well,
Let me see.
like I couldn't find it on hers. I thought it was a really great response. I was so proud of myself.
Yes.
I thought so too. Well, I'm glad I'm not going crazy, but I can't find it today.
I think, Kathy, didn't you have 2 posts or 2 separate thoughts, or maybe the reply was to one of them?
That, I mean, she did have 2 separate posts, and the one I was attempting to.
Lee and I kind of went back and forth a couple of things,
I wonder if I was looking at the wrong one. I thought I was. Oh yes, there it is.
I'm afraid to click because I'm like, okay, I know this is the whole class.
No. I meant to put this response on this privacy one, and that's where I went to look for it, but it's in there, Kathy, so you can go back and look at it later. But basically it was, don't be overwhelmed. Do one thing at a time.
Which I hear your voice all the time telling me that, because you told me that for years. You're like, I'm still stuck in the,
Yep, don't. And my recommendation in the post was to start off with Google. And just start from there. Use email and your calendar. And then, after you become comfortable with scheduling appointments on your calendar or putting tasks on your calendar, then move into using, say, Google Docs. Learn to share Docs with other people. Learn how to share only viewing rights or commenting and viewing rights, and then if you want someone to have full editing access. So you just have to, if you are overwhelmed by all of these choices that are available, you just have to find one that you think is going to be something you can use on a daily basis. Because if you're not using it frequently, then you're going to have to relearn how to use it every time you go to access it. So that's why I recommend using the Google products first, because you're going to check your email every day. If you're not using Google Calendar to schedule things, then I recommend start using that. Learn how to create a new calendar. For example, I have multiple calendars. So I have my regular calendar, and then I have a Makerspace calendar that I give teachers access to that want to schedule Makerspaces with me. So they can see the Makerspace calendar, and they have access to add content to that calendar, and I will see it when they post it. So it shows up on a calendar that I'm looking at daily. But they don't have to say, hey, are you available on Monday? And then if I'm not, we banter back and forth trying to figure out a day and time that works for both of us. So that's my recommendation. You're using email every day, so go ahead and broaden your scope and start using your Google Calendar. If you're already using email and the calendar, then let's add another Google tool and do one of the Google Suite products like Docs, which is like Word documents. Sheets is like your spreadsheets. So,
It will create a platform.
yes, it does. And I mean, that same, I have only recently started using Google Forms as much more frequently. And it creates all of those statistical charts for you as well. But like I said, I've been using Google since we switched over way back when. It's probably been 10 years or better when we moved from Novell. I don't know if you all remember the Novell email client, or GroupWise, that's what it was, GroupWise. When we moved from GroupWise to Gmail. And just within the past 2 years have I started using Google Forms, and now I use it for like everything. But it took me that long to move through the different products that Google has to offer. So,
And we have access to Google Plus, is that correct?
we do have access to Google Classroom, but I think that some of the components maybe don't work fluidly, and I cannot promote the use of Google Classroom because we do have Haiku, which is it's a learner management system that we pay for.
I guess that's where I get quite
But there are a lot of tools out there, but like I said, pick something that you're going to go to every day first. This will help build your confidence. It will help you become comfortable and familiar with a tool at least, and then you just branch out from there. And there are 10,000 tools out there to do a quick formative assessment, to give a quiz, an online quiz with. And when there are that many tools available that do the same, they have the same purpose, there's no need to know, all of those tools. Pick one or two, kind of like the royal family have an heir and a spare. And so, if one product should go away, you have something to fall back on that you're familiar with until you can branch out and locate more. But, for example, like Kahoot is a formative assessment tool where you can give on the fly, like a pop quiz kind of thing, and you can either do it together as a class, a group, or students can answer independently on their devices, and you have a spreadsheet with that feedback from there. But there is another product called Quizzes that is almost identical to Kahoot. So, do I need to get stressed out and stress over which one to use? Absolutely not. Pick which one feels comfortable to you and go with it. Does that make sense?
It does, and I won't take more class time, but my biggest thing is with sharing of Google documents and that sort of thing, especially if it's my listening stuff,
Mm-hmm.
be more effective collaborative if you use some of it that way. I'm afraid I'll share it in the wrong place and then it's got all that confidential information. But I could talk to you personally on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't jump in right away sharing confidential information. You want to ease into that. So you want to share like just a memo or a letter, that maybe you have a letter that you send home to parents about bringing in supplies or something, and you want to share that with someone. That's where you start. And then once you become comfortable and you understand how the product works, then you would do your sharing of confidential documents. So, you're very welcome. So if we go on down here, if we jump into the meat of what we're looking at for differentiation, one of the things that I found, and I'm sure most of you are using something similar to this, are like choice boards or menus. Are you guys familiar with that?
I'm not in the classroom, but I did attend a workshop session on differentiation, and they talked about choice boards and menus.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was like a fantastic way to turn over some of the decision making for the students too. Like we can kind of decide how we work.
Absolutely. I mean, that was my same thought. So on this dot storming document, which I was going to promote whenever I created this course, but now they've kind of restricted you to like one dot board or something like that. So, you know, I guess they want to make money for their product. I can understand that. There are some examples within that document. So I'm going to pull up, if you're not familiar with choice boards, I'm going to open this one. If you're not following Casey Bell and Shake Up Learning, I highly recommend you follow her. She has all things Google on her blog and really provides some great resources on there as well. But when this pulls up, hopefully it's going to. My poor little machine, it's just making all kinds of noises. This Shake Up Learning, and she's written a book, and she blogs, and they have a podcast. She does like keynote speeches and training and professional development. But she has this interactive learning menus. Now, I think she goes through the process of how you can create one of these using Google Docs, or how you can create something that students can use digitally also. Let me pull one of these up to give you an idea of what a choice board is. And she has a ton of examples here. Whoops, it is. So, kind of like a bingo card, where you would tell students, like this one is, they have to answer this number 5. And then they have to pick 2 other slots that would give them tic-tac-toe. So either way diagonally or horizontally or vertically. So she gives them a variety of options to create a product of learning. So if you look at it, they can make up a fiction, make up an interview. They can do an interactive timeline, digital timeline. So something you would use for a timeline might be Read, Write, Think. The website Read, Write, Think. They have a interactive timeline creator that is free. She gives them the option to do a comic strip, retelling the story using a comic strip. There are online tools. There's one called Make Beliefs, I think, comic creator. I'm drawing a blank, but there are a ton of tools and resources out there that are free for comic strip creators. The number 8 there, book trailer. iMovie has a variety of movie trailers. So maybe they could read a book and then create a video trailer for that book, promoting it. Create a book jacket. That can be done in Google Draw. It can be done in Doodle Buddy. There are a number of different resources that you can use for creating a poster or something that could be used for a book jacket. If your students have MacBooks, we have the Comic Life is a comic strip creator, and I think that is also an option as an app. I'm not sure if there's a free version or how that works, but I can look into that. Number 6 there is a soundtrack. Create a YouTube playlist. Okay, so our students wouldn't have access to that, but you could put something else in that spot. But I mean, you get the gist, right? Give them a variety of choices on how they want to turn in their product of learning, how they want to prove to you that they have learned the material you have taught them. So this one is the tic-tac-toe board. This next one coming up is a menu design. We're almost there, guys. Okay. And if you look, see here, you can make a copy of the template. So like you can find tons of freebies on Casey Bell's website here. And you can just make a copy of this template, but let me open it up a little bit bigger so you can see it. That's not what I want. We'll give it just a minute to pull it up. So this is created in Google Slides. Let's see if I can put the slides here for us. It gives you instructions on how to use this document. And then this is completely editable. So if you wanted something that was a little more visual, this is kind of the same concept as the tic-tac-toe board. Your student is going to pick an entree, 1 or 2 sides, a dessert and a beverage, or tell them they have to do an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert. Or, you know, give them a couple of paths that they could complete a project for an assignment and turn in a product of learning. Which would you prefer, the menu or the tic-tac-toe board? As teachers.
Well, I'm just pondering because of more distractibility focus on and see.
Mm-hmm.
Bingo might be a little cleaner for that, but then it's just more hooks, so to speak.
Right.
I truly don't know if you can.
Mm-hmm. So, Brian, do you see any places where you could use a choice board or these digital menus for PE or health?
Yeah, definitely. Sort of some stuff that I have already is challenge by choice, where if there's an assignment that's an exercise that's shown one way that you know not the correct way, or another way, they just keep it pushing.
Mm-hmm.
So we do a lot with the letters. Teaching the letter 1, 2, 3. Yes, but to have that up on the screen with a bingo board.
Right. I tried this on everyone at the Tech Institute. For those of you that attended sessions and played the bingo game. And this is a fun one because you give, 20, 25 different ways to accomplish, and maybe you associate some type of reward if this were like a unit thing. So as you have time, check out that link for the interactive learning menus and choice boards.
It would be good for like literacy support, different jobs that
Yes, absolutely. So on this, there are more examples of menus and choice boards, and then I also have the HyperDoc. And I don't know if all of you were able to come to the HyperDoc session that I did, but HyperDocs are just a very robust digital learning tool. It does take some work on the front end from you as a teacher, but once students begin their journey with the HyperDoc, it's really self-guided, self-directed in the approach to completing tasks, completing assignments, going through the content. It allows you to differentiate because you can include links to websites, links to videos, links to quizzes that you create. You can link your Kahoots within it. So they could basically go through a unit almost self-guided throughout the document, and that would free you up to help students that might be struggling on certain sections. So they're still getting all of the content, they're getting all of the learning is right there at their fingertips, but you are not having to host that as the speaker during that time frame. Kids can go at their speed to cover the content and complete the assignments within it. HyperDocs, there's a little more work involved in creating HyperDocs. Now there are a lot of free HyperDocs out there also that you can start off with if you're interested in that. So are there any questions about any of the links or resources that are in the first half of this page? If not, we'll go ahead and talk about the assignment that's due. And again, I will extend the last session's assignment deadline for one more week. But at the same time, this one is still due in 2 weeks. So let's look at it. So this time we're going to create a unit. It can be whatever subject area of your choice that is going to require your students to participate in a research project. So what I want you guys to do is create this assignment where students are given the choice of, they have to do at least 3, the assignment, the product of learning has to have 3 digital components to it. Does that make sense? So thinking in the broad scope of say, the choice boards or a menu. As they're going through the research, they have to pick at least 3 different avenues to turn in stuff. And then I would also like for you to just write a little blurb on how you would grade a project like this. Would you do a rubric? Would you do peer evaluation, self-evaluation? Just kind of discuss how, and it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. You don't have to create the rubric unless you want to. Just a little 1 or 2, 3 sentence description of how you would approach grading a project like this. Now, as you get into this assignment, if you have questions, email me. If it is beneficial, I will pull out some of the examples from last semester and share those with you. Just let me know. I hate to share things beforehand because I don't want you guys to I don't want you to be restricted in your thought processes. Whereas normally if we expose, if you expose someone to an answer or a response to something, then it kind of puts the blinders on you. So I want you guys to try to come up with something, but if I need to share some of those examples, I'll be happy to do that. And then we are also moving on in the reading, and we are doing Turning Up the Juice. If I'm not mistaken, we have one more reading section after this one. No, this is our last reading section. Is that correct? No, this is the next to last. Turning Up the Juice. So we'll have one more after this one, and then we'll be finished. How are you guys? How do you like this collection of blog posts? Are they relevant? Are they helpful?
They are, but they always say they help people feel at home. I was like, I don't know.
Well, that.
The more I read, I feel like the less I know.
Oh no! That is not the intent.
I know. I'm just a dinosaur.
No, you're not, Kathy. You are very capable of doing this. Very capable. Kathy, you're also doing the Teach Like a Pirate book study, aren't you?
Yes, I love that. How did you do that? Oh, well, and I know that the community setup. Is that through Google too, right?
It is, yes. It's using Google Plus, and it was a way to, and I think this will benefit everyone in the class. Google Plus is it's a social media offering, but the reason I chose Google Plus over Twitter, I think I've expressed my feelings about Twitter before. It's just a little too fast-paced for me, and I get lost in the stream of all of these people that I've followed on Twitter. So I get lost and I can't use it, and it's too fast-paced and it stresses me out, and I already have anxiety issues and all that stuff. So at any rate, I use Google Plus because I could create kind of a private community so that we're experiencing a social media tool and we're learning how to communicate with one another in a professional manner, using the tool, but it's restricted so outsiders can't see our conversations or participate in it. So, we are communicating with our colleagues, but we don't have to feel like someone from the outside is ridiculing or critiquing our conversations as we discuss the book. Now, Google Plus has open communities, but that was one of the perks of doing it in Google Plus, and I just thought it would create a safer feeling environment to start out in.
So as the administrator, you put it up as closed, and then
I did. Yes. So when I created the community, you have the option to share it with a link, which is what I did in that blog post, so that anyone in AverySchools.net organization could join it, but you had to join by that link. So, not everyone that just searches for that community can join it. So there are ways to restrict membership using Google Plus.
you could restrict to a class.
Yes, you could use, but I think that Google Plus is blacklisted for student use, unfortunately. I can verify that though. And I think they do that because there's not a way to restrict them from going outside of that online community and going to other communities.
But it would be just like a PNS.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm enjoying using it for the book study. Because you can put images up there, you can, add video clips, links to websites, you can post comments.
I tried to add a link, but it wouldn't work. So obviously, it's a greater error. I didn't know I was doing. But anyway, I do
Okay.
like it. It's a good. It's visually appealing, but yet being able to respond back and forth.
Right. I've had some comments. I think Adele thought she was having issues posting to it, but I couldn't confirm that whenever I went by. It looked like everything was working properly. So if at any point you feel like you've posted something but it's not there or not in the right spot, or it won't allow you to post unless you're commenting on someone else's post, let me know, Kathy, so that I can follow up on that, okay?
I always just think, oh, I'm not doing something right.
Well, that's not always the case, so please let me know. So, are there any questions about anything that we've covered or about the assignment? Or are there any questions about last session's assignment or content? Kara, are you good?
Yes, I can the last assignment email, but if you see that there's a problem with it, or I have a chance to fix that.
Absolutely. I'm going to extend the deadline for one more week. But, I mean, I'll look over it and let you know, but I'm sure you've covered it.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Liz, please email me and let me know a meeting time.
Okay. Are you? Yeah, this is for next year.
Okay, yep, that's perfect. Because I won't remember. I don't know about you guys, but I can't remember anything. Yeah. So.
I'm the admiral.
Oh Lord. All right, guys. Well, if there aren't any other questions, we'll go ahead and end for this afternoon. That's a good 50-minute class. And if something comes up, you guys let me know. If you have any questions, just email me. And I guess y'all have a good weekend, and I'll see you in 2 weeks, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.
Bye.